Humans are currently stuck in a limited self-orientated psychology, which has been normalised as the only basic choice on offer. But sometimes, rarely, someone gets a glimpse of a much better way. They have a oneness experience. These are powerful indicators of our tremendous evolutionary potential, and it's these oneness experiences that we're now going to look at in this film. As you can see, I'm away from the studio again, this time on the Isle of Skye off the west coast of Scotland. I've had several oneness experiences myself, so I can speak about this subject from direct knowledge. And it was our organisation, the Human Potential Trust, that first coined the simple but descriptive term oneness experiences way back in 1975. Previously, they were known by various names such as mystical or transcendent experiences, cosmic consciousness, spiritual awakening and so on. As our work is educational, the first step is to demystify and make the unknown known. Individuals from different cultures and continents have been reporting these profound experiences for at least the past 3,500 years. They've often been expressed within a religious, spiritual, philosophical or poetic context. But I should stress that no belief whatsoever is required. This is a straightforward matter of psychological potential. We need to explain what a oneness experience is as simply as possible. Bear in mind that this state has traditionally been described as ineffable, so using words will inevitably detract from the enormity and clarity of what is actually experienced. You become immersed in unity, with the normal sense of self suspended. There's an unparalleled feeling of love for all, underpinned by an incredible and lucid understanding or knowing. In this ecstatic state, there's no psychological dilemma. Senses are intensified and there's a different perception of time. Service before self is the obvious way forward in this very different perception of one for all for one. The experience is extremely powerful, incomparable to anything known or thought possible beforehand. It begins suddenly, unexpectedly, and is usually brief, lasting a few minutes. There's an afterglow effect which can persist for several days. There are specific triggers which initiate the onset of a oneness experience, and we've identified there are triggers out which end the altered state. Being in nature is a known situation when a oneness experience might possibly occur, although this is a rare event. I wrote an article for our EvolveFirst.org project, together with my colleague Victoria, who has also glimpsed this state of oneness. We included a few excerpts of how others have tried to explain their experience, and you might find these useful to gain a better understanding of what happens in these moments. There'll be a link in the description below for the article. A oneness experience is almost always seen as transformative. This is true in the sense that it opens up a new world or a completely different possibility of being. But in reality, after this brief illumination has faded, the path forwards is unclear. An exact map of how to progress is unavailable. The old habitual ways of thinking and acting remain, even if there's now a positive spanner in the works. There's hope, or even certainty, that a better way of living is possible because of the memory of unity and a greater love, but that's about it. So even after having had a profound glimpse of our evolutionary potential, the individual effectively remains stuck. The sudden insight temporarily suspends usual thought processes, but these inevitably begin again because we must function. And when normal thinking kicks in, the bigger and better way of being is effectively shut out and lost. The mental framework we have built up through normal social conditioning is inadequate and at odds with this alternative consciousness or psychology. The two basic options of selfishness and non-selfishness are like oil and water. They don't mix. It's either one or the other. There's me first, or there's one for all for one. There's a basic flaw in traditional thinking, that somehow there must be a path forwards involving step-by-step change. This bit is true, but you can't just bolt on new additional bits to your existing thinking. The starting points are completely different. Your normalised map or framework for living has to be challenged, reassessed and massively restructured. It's currently at odds with a better way that can be glimpsed as a oneness experience. The current mindset limits and blocks the full potential of being. It's worth re-emphasising again at this point that we hardwire our brains. And although there's neural plasticity, thankfully confirming that we can change, plus it's a neurological mechanism which allows us to do so, any shifting of behaviour takes a hell of a lot of effort to bring about. Real change is not just going to happen overnight because you want it to happen, or because of good intentions. You're going to have to grasp opportunity after opportunity and work damn hard. You need to be serious and persistent. The majority of people have traditionally failed when attempting the task of significant change, not just because of their lack of precise understanding of what's involved, but simply because they want everything to be easy and quick. They prefer to play at so-called personal or spiritual development, rather than knuckle down and do what's necessary. In reality, they never even begin the real journey of change. They merely fool themselves, gradually getting older and hopefully a bit less foolish. Having a oneness experience is not a necessary part of what's needed to unfold our human potential. It might be helpful, possibly, but it's not required. Nor is it a component for change. It's not any kind of indication of how you are or how well you're progressing. It's just a profound glimpse of what's possible, nothing more. A oneness experience is ecstasy beyond description. The understanding is crystal clear, purer than the water of a mountain stream or waterfall. It raises you up to heights you'd never before have believed possible. But what's actually needed, as I keep banging on about in this series of films, is an exact educational process for sustained change. By comparison, it's boring, and you can forget feeling ecstatic. As you start recognising avoidance in yourself, beginning to drop it, facing reality, you'll feel lousy as you see more and more of the shit. However, if you want to get there constantly, this is what you must focus on. A few giants in academic psychology studied the subject of oneness experiences, namely Richard Morris Buck, William James and Abraham Maslow. Again, you can read a good article about this on our evolvefirst.org website, and there'll be another link in the description below. Despite benefiting from a good start, this crucial area of psychology has since stumbled or faltered. Transpersonal psychology should have firmly established the nature of what is possible, as well as pointed the way forwards. But it hasn't. For the past 50 years or so, those who have claimed academic interest in this important matter have miserably failed in their duty to build on the initial work of Buck, James and Maslow. They've added little or nothing. Their lack of mental clarity, being stuck themselves, has dulled their ability and ambition. As a consequence, made worse by all those who play at changing, the general public remain largely ignorant of oneness experiences and what they represent. The focus of life continues to be on materialistic gain and bland social acceptance. The opportunity provided by those of us who have glimpsed a massively better way is largely being ignored and lost. A higher ambition, full of deep meaning and purpose, is absent for almost everyone. The founder of our organisation, Ian, had numerous oneness experiences in the 1970s. His early scientific training prompted him to ask questions about what was happening to him. He systematically worked out a map of selfishness, including how the avoidance syndrome frustrates people's attempts at change, plus a second map of non-selfishness. After the glimpses of oneness eventually transformed into a constant experience of unity, he was able to reverse engineer what had happened to him and develop an educational route for others to achieve the same. In our next film, we'll be looking at the long history of failure. Despite good intentions, people's lofty endeavours to change have effectively got nowhere. This failure can be fully explained, and important lessons can be learnt. I'll be back in the studio for that one, and I look forward to seeing you soon, so we can take another step forwards in knowing what's what.